When you combine amputees with roller coasters, there's a potential problem. Specifically, what if you're zooming along and suddenly the G-forces rip your prosthesis off? Some innocent bystander could be walking along and get clonked on the head. And let's not forget arm amputees. To avoid unnecessary bodily harm, simply remove the prosthesis before getting on the ride. It can't clonk anyone on the head if it's just sitting there. Except now we have a new problem. The solution to that problem would be to wear a prosthesis. Except that leads us back to the original problem. It's a touchy subject. No one wants to feel excluded, and no one wants a steel leg to the head. If a leg amputee can't brace herself with two legs, or an arm amputee can't grab onto the handbars, could they fly off? Not only would that be tragic for them, but if they landed on someone, that person could get hurt too. Like poor Bob. When Lefty and I broke up and I became an amputee, I worried that my roller coaster days were over.
Maybe they'll still let you on the kiddie rides.
Dude, show some sensitivity.
Sorry.
You're more of an amputee than I am. What do you recommend?
I've got an idea.
I had Bob do some Googling. He's a bit of a loafer who lives in the basement, but he's good at typing, so I keep him around. Through his sleuthing, we discovered that some amusement parks have restrictions on amputees, but not all. Disneyland was pretty amputee friendly, but Disneyland is also expensive and too far away.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
That's a nod. I guess you had a neck fusion or something.
Kaylin!
Allow me to introduce my friend Kaylin, whose mother teaches during the school year and works at Lagoon Amusement Park during summer break.
I don't suppose you could get me some discounted tickets to Lagoon. Can I come too? Yep.
You got a deal.
Yay!
Okay, full disclosure, it was Kaylin who came up with the idea, not Bob. But recently he's been taking credit for things he didn't do. I think it has something to do with amnesia after a recent head injury. So I packed the family in the car.
Here, Bob.
Oh, sorry, Bob.
Body in the trunk and away we go.
We drove off without telling the kids where we were going. They thought I had yet another out-of-town doctor's appointment. Kids are so gullible these days.
Where are we?
They took the surprise calmly and sedately.
Marco, you don't look excited.
Our mission wasn't to have fun, it was purely business. I needed to conduct first-hand, or rather first-foot, research on whether or not my leg would go flying off and knock bystanders on the head. I also needed to ascertain whether I felt safer with my prosthesis on or off. It was to be a two-part experiment. Part 1, keeping other people safe. Part 2, keeping me safe. Neither of those parts should be considered medical or legal advice, so don't blame me if you or your prosthesis goes flying off and hurts someone. And you probably shouldn't check your prosthesis at a dummy.
Don't tell the prosthetist. What have you been doing with your leg?
In the name of science, we shall break down amusement park rides into 4 categories and begin our quest for knowledge with a daring and adrenaline-coursing ride.
We're going to start out with something tough, something intense.
The kiddie ride!
We'll go where no legless mama has gone before. The kiddie ride.
A A bit anticlimactic, but starting with relatively safe rides and working my way up was a key strategy to keeping me safe. Go me. Many kiddie rides are miniature versions of adult rides, so I was able to test out the general types of motion in a lower stakes environment. There were mini roller coasters, mini swings, mini planes. You get the idea. Think of it as testing out cute little prototypes before committing to a bigger scale. Overall, I felt very safe in this category. No surprise there. After surviving the dangers of the kiddie rides, let's level up to a faster-paced category. Circular rides may not have the same thrill factor as roller coasters, but they can have significant centrifugal force. Picture yourself lying on a merry-go-round. As it starts spinning faster, you feel an increased pull towards the outside. What if that pull ripped my leg off, Anne? Naturally, the first thing I did, after teaching my toddler to roar like a dragon, of course, was buckle up. Baby, me, and broad knee. Get it? Broad knee? That's right. I sewed a strap and buckle to prevent my leg from flying off and hurting someone. Safety first. The ride got going. No limbs went flying, fortunately for Bob. I went multiple times with and without my prosthesis. Rating this category, it went surprisingly well. The centrifugal force pushed me against the side of the cart, but didn't exert force in a way that made me feel like my leg was being tugged off. Up next, literally, are rides that lift you up so your legs are dangling beneath you. The motion may be circular or similar to a roller coaster. The defining feature is there's no floor to brace against. I was looking forward to these rides because if walking isn't your strong point, you might as well fly. Things started off well, my takeoff was flawless. Then my legs started to come loose. My enjoyment evaporated as I watched my leg, wondering whether it would go flying off. Luckily, it didn't, but boy was I glad I'd buckled the safety strap to the ride and not me. Lagoon's website says this ride has a G-force of 2.2 and a max speed of 26 miles per hour. I'd rather have that level of force pull on something designed to take the strain. For round 2, I ditched my leg and had a much more enjoyable time. When the ride ended, I hopped off in search of the next adventure. It's the moment you've all been waiting for, because we're about to test our limits on roller coasters. This is the category I was most concerned about. Not because I don't love roller coasters, but because right at the stump. There's a ton of variation between roller coasters in terms of G-force, speed, and type of motion. Some were alright for little kids, others were too intense for my 2 older kids, and some left my kids simply not amused.
How did you like it? I was not amused with the big jets. Not amused. Sorry, bud.
However, all the roller coasters had one thing in common. Having something to push against meant that some of the force was transferred through my leg to the floor instead of the prosthesis taking the strain. Even when I went upside down, I felt pushed into my seat, not pulled away from it. The same went for my prosthesis. My leg felt pushed into the socket, not ripped out of it. Before amputation, I found that aspect painful because I was pushed onto my bad foot. Post-amputation, I enjoyed these rides more with my prosthesis on than with it off because I was able to brace myself. I started with tame roller coasters and worked my way up so I could gradually ascertain my comfort level.
You ready? You ready? You're born ready. Oh boy!
I didn't go on Lagoon's most intense roller coaster. My kids aren't that hardcore. The fastest ride I went on had a speed of 55 miles per hour. I sampled the rides with and without my prosthesis on. The variety of roller coasters makes it hard to make a blanket statement about safety, so don't take this video as advice. I'm just relating my experience. Consider that the hanging ride with a G-force of 2.2 was problematic for me, but the roller coaster with a 4.85 G-force was fine. The roller coasters I sampled on this occasion felt more secure than expected. Not once did my leg become a deadly projectile. There are topics we could have discussed today but didn't, such as the overlap between different categories of rides, how roller coasters affected my phantom limb, the disability accommodations I experienced, and how there are different types of legs that may fare better or worse on fast rides. So if you want a sequel, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and ring the bell. It makes a very satisfying sound. Keep your hands and legs inside the cart at all times, and I'll see you on the next Amputee adventure.
Bob, I know that was a rough shoot. Thanks for hanging in there. High five?
Don't forget to hit the like button.